I love my job. It's really something I thoroughly enjoy. If I have one wish for you, is that you'll find something that you're really and truly passionate about. But this wasn't by accident. It wasn't actually by design either. It was kind of by the evolution of things. So let me just share my story with you and take you back. I went through pretty hard times when I was a young girl. I lost my dad when I was 10 years old. My mom couldn't provide for us. There wasn't money for me to go to university. So I ended up having to look at my life, and I could have become absolutely bitter with my circumstances. But I'm proud to say, if I look at my life today, that I actually became better. All those hardships put me in a position to be the person I am today. And if I look back now, I'm eternally grateful for all the hardships I've been through. I chose to become better. And I want to share some of the lessons I've learned along the way and the hardships I've endured that have made me the person I am today. I'm Chereen, and I've been helping individuals for around 30 to 40 years to reach their full potential. Let me just first say that my career was never by design. My background is I wanted to become a school teacher because I managed to get a bursary to go and study teaching. And while I was working, I had to fund my own studies. I was working part-time. And while I was working part-time, I was paying our casuals wages, and I was recruiting and training casuals. And coincidentally, I landed up having a career in human resources, which I actually love. It was never ever something I had sat down and said, this is where I want to go. So if you are struggling with not knowing which way to go and where you're going to go, it'll come to you. Don't force it. Just do what is possible. But I can share with you what I did and what really worked for me. First thing is, I never allowed myself to be a victim. I never sat back and thought, poor me, my dad's died, I don't have money, I can't afford to go and study. I was in charge of my own attitude, of my own behavior, and I decided I was going to be the person that was going to determine my altitude. So it started with me, it started internally, and that's where my journey began. I then faced a lot of challenges along the way, and I've often sat back and I thought to myself, maybe I should just give up. Maybe I wasn't cut out to be this. But you know what? I persevered. So there's a couple of things that really worked for me. Number one is I had goals. I set myself a goal and an ambition. And I said, right, I want to achieve, and it was small little goals. I want to make sure that I finish my degree. So it came in my final year when I was about to leave university, when I was about to finish university, I was approached for a job. I thought, no problem, I finished my degree through correspondence. Little did I know I'd only get 1 or 2 credits, and I literally had to start my degree from scratch. But I'd made my bed and I had to lie on it. So instead of giving up and saying, oh, it's a pity, I almost finished my degree, but I've got this job, and accepted it, I didn't. I knew my goal was that I wanted to achieve that degree. So while I worked, I was studying, and it took a lot of sacrifice from myself. So I wanted to be the best I could in my job, but I also wanted to study. So there were some kind of habits that I had to do. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, make sure I studied from 3 to 5, then got ready and off I went to work. So I had to make some sacrifices in my personal life to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But the bottom line is I never let up. I made sure that I stuck to that goal and that vision. And no matter what difficulties I faced, no matter the hardship I faced, and sometimes it was very tough and very demanding, I got up and I achieved it. So for me, I look at individuals who are feeling depressed and they're feeling sad, and I look at them, it's almost as though they're facing a sense of hopelessness, helplessness. But you've got yourself. You can determine your attitude. We're all aware of that cliche, attitude determines altitude, but it actually really does work. Everything starts with you. It starts with your mindset. So don't ever fall victim or fall into that pit of saying, poor me, look what I've gone through. You must say, thank you for this experience. It's going to make me a much better person. It's not going to make me bitter. So be careful of falling into that trap. When I got into my job, landed up just becoming the best. You know what I did? I took pride in every single thing I did. I just want to share a little story with you. Now, many of you think, geez, you'd frown upon taking a job as working as a packer. Well, I did, and I made sure I was the best packer that there was. I put in systems and places to make sure I was the most efficient packer at the till. Also, when I worked on a fitting room, I made sure that those fitting rooms were absolutely impeccable, that when anybody walked into that fitting room, they saw the cleanliness of it. If a client or customer left that fitting room, I'd run and get window lean and spray and clean those mirrors so the client could walk into a nice, clean fitting room. It was like almost this is something I took great pride in. And I think those are the kind of things that have set me aside from anyone else. So I started working at the age of 13 years old, and I worked and I studied. And I look back at my life and I look at individuals, and sometimes I take it for granted, the stuff that I learned so many years ago. But I'm so grateful that I've had that experience to be able to do what I did. Some of the lessons I've learned along the way is never compare yourself to somebody else. Everybody's got their own experiences, they got their own background, their own perceptions, but you can compete, but never ever compare. It's one of the lessons I really learned. Another thing I realized is that you always have to be true to yourself. Always be true to yourself. And in work, there's a lot of politics that goes on. And people try and pull you into the political game. And initially, I thought I was holier than thou, and I said to everyone, I don't do politics. Until I realized one day, well, you are actually occupying a position in the political game. Whether you realize it or not, by not responding is a position that you're playing. And that's when I realized, hold on, I need to let people understand who I am and what I'm about. Because I knew my intentions were absolutely pure. I don't have a negative bone in my body. That's who I am. But unfortunately, some people perceive you, and the way you are and the way it impacts on them is different from the way you intended. So I had to very quickly learn, when I interact with people, to try and tell them, and to actually just, a shortcut is to tell them what your intentions are. And that way you gain favor with individuals who are true to themselves as well. Forming relationships is also critical in the workplace. I think I neglected this one, and if I look back, I was so much focused on getting the job done and working so hard that I actually neglected to build those relationships. Now in my later age, I realize it's so important to actually build those relationships, because at the end of the day, it's people, it's groups of people that will achieve in the corporate environment. You're not going to achieve as an island. If you think you're going to work on your own, you've lost the game already. No man is an island. And starting to cultivate a working relationship to become the best colleague that you can be to work with is what I realized was very important. And to make sure you had the utmost integrity. For me, integrity is everything. Now, what does that mean with integrity? It means that you are true to yourself. It means that you're not compromising yourself in any way whatsoever. So how to be successful in the workplace? First of all, is never say I can't. You always have to have a can-do attitude and approach. And there's so many naysayers to whatever you want. You've got to be so set on, right, there is a way. Think outside the box. Find a solution. Don't say it can't be done. Just scrap that from your vocabulary completely. Another factor is to be absolutely passionate. Don't complain about anything. See it as exciting. If somebody gives you something new, I get so excited. If there's something I've never learned, I don't say that's not my job. I'm glad to take it on and actually exercise it, because I'm learning something new. You know what starts happening? If you start looking at building a puzzle, you start with the framework, and every single thing you do, you start putting in these pieces, and suddenly you stand back and you see this beautiful picture emerge, because you've gained all these little pieces of information and knowledge because you had a can-do approach. You didn't say, I can't do it. It's not my job. It's not in my lane. Take on more than what you can. People want to work with people who want to do the job and can do it. There's also a lot of people in the workplace that are those coasters, those ones who just sit back and let you do all the work and try to take the credit. Those are dangerous people. And I always say people who can take credit of anyone else's work is a dangerous person. That's a huge signal for you to be careful and to be wary of somebody who takes credit for your work. A good leader and a good person will actually recognize you. A good leader will also motivate you to want to actually do your best. Another thing, get out of your comfort zone. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. It's as simple as that. If you want to grow and you want to be successful, you have to try new things. Even me filming this video right now is uncomfortable. I can talk in front of crowds. I can talk to large audiences at conferences, and I'm very comfortable. Now, to convert and to assimilate my experience from talking to large crowds to starting to talk to a video camera, it seems very difficult. It's out of my comfort zone. But it's something I'm doing because I want to grow. And I want to reach people, and I want to make a difference to someone's life. And I'm hoping that this will make a difference to you and your life. Nothing is too much of an effort. Do not equate your success to how much money you earn. That's the biggest danger. It's the biggest no-no. You know what? Whatever you chase runs. And I've said this to my children since they were little. If you're going to chase the money, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be evasive. It's going to run away. So rather chase your passion. When you get into the workplace, be so grateful for what you have and chase something in that you feel very passionate about. And the more passionate you become about it, the more you're going to start finding yourself being intrigued, wanting to grow, wanting to develop yourself. And that starts getting a life of itself, and it starts growing, that you start enjoying it more and you collect more knowledge, more information, more experience. And suddenly you stand back and you realize that you're an outlier, that you realize that you have exceptional skill and you have exceptional talent purely because of you. You've put the effort in. You haven't chased the money. You've worked hard at it. And while you're on this journey, you've built a lot of relationships and you've built friendships along the way. And what a fantastic place to be. When you're in a working environment, when you do work you absolutely love, which I do, when you're surrounded by the most incredible human beings, and I'm surrounded by so many good people in the workplace, I can't wait to go meet my colleagues, to have a quick chat, to catch up with them, and doing things you love. But the biggest benefit is that you know you're changing lives. You know that you're making a difference, even if it's that one individual who comes in, who's had no money, and is able to get a job and go provide for a family back home. Or an individual who's felt as though they haven't found a meaning in life, and suddenly they come into the workplace and you're able to ignite that passion, and they suddenly find a sense of purpose and something meaningful, that they are achieving something. That's when it starts becoming so rewarding. So be you, be true to yourself, be passionate about what you do. Drop all the negativity. Do not get involved in the politics or the gossiping, and go out and grab every opportunity and make every single day count and matter for you. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoy this and this will inspire something for you to become magnetic in the workplace. If the story has been valuable for you, please won't you leave it a like and let me know in the comments so I can make future videos for you. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss those videos. And I'll see you in the next one.